Hey, no Pusnet, new little video. On this one, I was listening to a video and they were mentioning a concept, and I wanted to address it because it's something that I keep hearing a lot, and it's a little bit misleading in the if it's part of your plan in the medical field, and I explained why and what I'm talking about. And I was trying to see how could I approach that and how can I talk about it. And I think the best way, and that's why the title of this thing is the bugging out, the medical bugging out. And it's not so much as how to give medical things as you bug out. I mean, you can do that at any time, but it's more the concept that at one point you may need to seek better medical care. And in many of my videos, and the purpose of a lot of my videos is to give how I call it as to give information to people that even with limited knowledge. So if you just have a first aid or something, is to take the best decision. Does that mean that it makes you doctors? Does that mean it makes you nurses? Does that mean it makes you medics? No, and it's never my intention to do so, but it's to provide enough information. I come kind of with the same concept that wilderness medicine does. In a lot of their course, for example, you can what we call it, clear the C-spine. And so if you would get the difference with this is if you would get on the car accident and somebody would have pain in their neck, you would never do anything. You would wait for the ambulance to come. But if you're in the middle of the woods, and that would mean that the person could die of hypothermia and stuff, they teach techniques to clear the spine to make sure that there's no spine injuries, so that you can get out. So again, this concept of there's a reason why to give knowledge versus another one. And so the purpose of my videos are mostly like this. So if there is a disaster, if there is a pandemic, if there is something, the whole point of a lot of the information I give is so that you can get better decision to stay home and to try to avoid a system that would be overwhelmed. Actually, yesterday I was doing a night shift, and it was not a disaster, and you won't see in the newspaper, but that, you know, like, we were swamped, and there was people all over the place, and there were people in the whole way, and there was a long wait, and a lot of sick people and stuff. And so even just on a regular Saturday night, the system can be swamped. And so the purpose of this is so you can give as much as you can do. But this is the thing, as much as you can do. But everyone, including me, and including most people, but I'll include people with medical backgrounds, you are limited in what you can do from your own home. A neurosurgeon cannot operate on a brain outside an operation room. You can do rudimentary surgeries like 1900, but there's a limitation of what he can do. So just like anybody with the lay person, there's a limitation of what you can do. And this is what I want to talk about, and this is why I thought bugging out, the medical bugging out, makes a little bit of sense, because it's to report to the concept that a lot of us, I should say, we in our plan is to bug in because, you know, there's more storage, more resource, more things. Makes sense than to try your thing outside there with a bag that, you know, you can carry maybe at max like 50, 60, maybe 80 pounds, and try to survive out there. So might as well use the knowledge of the environment, meaning your house and your property with all the storage inside. In the medicine, a little bit the same thing. Stay home. And so if you have, for example, a fractured leg, sure, there is things that you probably could do at home and everything, but if we're starting to talk about major trauma, so if you have bleeding and things that require surgical intervention, so appendicitis and other things in that nature, there's a limitation of what you can do. And sadly, a lot of videos and texts, they seem to almost skim that as, oh yeah, just stay home and buy all the gear and you'll be able to stay home and be self-reliant and stuff. But there's a limitation of your self-reliance. There is a limit. There is a limit. There's a limit of what you can do, or not, or else the person will die. So and I know, like, a lot, and again, it makes totally sense to stay away from hospitals and clinics during, like, for a good example, it's an influenza pandemic. It would make totally sense for that. But still, in your plans, please, 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 consider the possibility that you may have to go to one of those things. And so to be prepared means that you have to be prepared to all a possibility, and that is one possibility. Whoever is going to tell you that you'll be 100% self-reliant and you'll be able, it's false. It's not true. It's impossible. Or else, sure, the person will die. Like, imagine, like, you have a major gun wound, and sure, okay, you stop the bleeding with a lot of the kits that are there, and blowout kits and stuff. What are you going to do after that? How are you going to transfuse the person? How are you going to take care of that person? Even if you have saline at home, and a lot of people, that's what they'll say, and I know probably in the comments they'll be intravenous. Shock, and this is what a concept, and here's the surplus of that. Shock is defined as a lack of oxygen to the cells. That's the definition of shock in the literature. It's decreased oxygen. It's not a decreased liquid. It's so if I give you a clear liquid that is in the bag, there's no oxygen capacity. Sure, your blood pressure may look better, sure, your heart rate, but that's temporary, because there's no oxygen cells in there. There's nothing to help you bring the oxygen to your cell's tissue. There's nothing in there, and so what you need is a transfusion. So if you're out there and you have a major trauma and you're bleeding, and even if they stop the bleeding, the bleeding was severe enough that you need a transfusion, or you have a gastrointestinal bleed, that is upper or lower GI bleed, and you're losing a lot of blood that way, same thing, you need a transfusion. Actually, yesterday we had a patient that way, and we needed to transfuse in about 8 or 9 units before they could do something about it. There's no way in a self-reliant situation that we would be able to handle this person outside a hospital or a setup with healthcare. We say hospital, but I mean healthcare, because it could be a MASH clinics in the corner or something, and even that there would be limitation. But even smaller hospitals sometimes will transfer patient to a bigger hospital because they're limited in their capacity. So it has nothing to do with I mean, there's doctors in there, and there's nurses, and there's, you know, the other possibilities and stuff, but sometimes it's the resource, it's what you have. And if you're limited in that, and even if you have the resource, then it's the knowledge, so, or the space, and so there's or the special machine to diagnose things. So there is limit of what we can do outside a setup. And so in your plans, please, please, please introduce the possibility that you could have to go to a FEMA camp. You could have to go to a hospital. Well, and hopefully with a lot of videos and reading that I recommend, or other people are recommending and stuff, you'll be able to stay away from that as long as possible. But there is this possibility, and you need to consider it, because if you don't, when the moment happens, you'll try and you'll delay and delay and delay, and what's going to happen is you're going to decrease the chance of that person. So you have to be able to know, just like when you bug in versus bugging out, when do you bug out? when is this above your head? When is this, I won't be able to improve my capacity here. I need to go to another facilities. How do I do that then? So you see, like, just to switch your plan, or what's going to be the best route to go there. How are you going to keep your safety to go there? Are you going to, for example, let's say it's you're a group of 5 and there's one person. Does the whole group goes over there and you put everybody in danger, or just one person, drop the person at that camp, comes back and continue? So those are all like possibilities that you need to consider and think about and include in your possibilities, because it will happen. It may happen. If the thing happens like this, there's limitation in the resource. No matter what people or what kit they're gonna try to sell you or promote you or say in their course, there is a limitation of what you can do outside facilities. There's a limitation. There is limitation, and you have to be aware of that and include it so that you can do the medical bug out. Anyway, it was a small video just to introduce that concept and talk a little bit more about it and kind of make it a little bit more clear, because sometimes when I read stuff and watch videos, it really seems to make you believe that if you buy their kit, or if you go to their class or something, or if you read their book, suddenly you'll be able to take care of something and do brain surgery in the middle of nowhere in your condo apartment and never go to hospital, which is totally nonsense and can create more danger than anything. Anyway, talk to you soon.